Larry Sharpe has traveled the country and has personally visited every county in New York State, listening to people's concerns. The Sharpe Way is a show where answers, solutions, and common ground can be found so that together we can forge a new way forward. The Sharpe Way is the way to mutual respect, where no one has to convert to be heard, because you can be as liberal or as conservative as you want, as long as you aren't forcing your beliefs on others. Welcome to Sharpe Way Radio.
Oh, yes. It is Larry Sharpe here, WYSL Rochester, New York, Sharpe Way Radio. Such a great day here. Happy belated Christmas? Or is it, I'm not British, I gotta say Merry Christmas, right? Whatever. I hope that if you celebrated or are celebrating, that you are having an amazing Christmas week, I guess. That sounds good. Christmas week is what I'm calling it. And I am here with you, thinking about family. This is a time that many people get together with their family and friends, loved ones, very common. Me too. And it made me think about someone in my life who's passed. About 10 years ago, my mother passed away. So I don't have her with me anymore. But I did love, of course, love having her with my Christmas, of course. But it also made me think about family in general and how so many of them are far away. And as I traveled across New York State, so often I hear people say, yeah, I have to travel here because my sister left New York State, or my mother left New York State, or my kids are no longer in New York State. I hear that constantly. I'm sure if you're listening now, you've heard it too. And that part does drive me crazy, the idea that so many people have left New York State. But all I hear from our leaders here in New York State, and I am using air quotes when I say leaders, is how great New York State is and what they're doing to help us. You might say, well, Larry, are you exaggerating? Well, let me give you a personal example from my mother. If you listened to me in the past, you know that my mother was an addict and was also a felon. And in the 90s, early 90s, like 90, 91, 92, I pulled her out of prison and helped her get her life back in order. I'm an only child. My father passed when I was a kid. I was kind of all she had. And she was all I had too, to be forward. This wasn't just a one-way street here, right? It's a two-way street. So I came back, took the savings that I had to get her set up in a studio apartment, which is all she had left. I got her a car so she could drive, go to work, and she was able to survive in New York State on Long Island. This is Long Island, on Long Island, on her own, with one salary, which was she was basically doing waitress work, server work. The local diners are the people who would hire her. If you've been in that situation or know someone who has, you know what I'm talking about. Most of the time, local small businesses are the ones who hire people who are in bad spots like that. And that happened with her in the 90s. But in the 90s, throughout the 90s, she could survive in New York State on Long Island with one salary. Don't get me wrong. It was tough for her. It wasn't like it was easy, but she could do it. Could that happen today? And you might go, wait a minute, Larry, that's, it's inflation, whatever. Okay, maybe. That's true. But I'll give you my mom specifically. After about 10 years, 8 years in that area, my mom was able to find another man who she loved and who loved her. They got married. If you know my story, I helped them to start a business. They started a business, ran that business for many years until they wanted to retire. When they were running a business, they were able to survive on Long Island, two of them together running a business. Once they retired, they were like, we can't afford to live here anymore. They couldn't afford to live here anymore. But I lived in New York City still. She was on Long Island with her husband. I was here in New York City. They didn't want to go too far away. They were New Yorkers. My mom had been in New York for decades. My stepfather, her husband, had been in New York his entire life. Why would they want to leave? They didn't want to. So they thought they'd be okay. They moved to Jersey. They thought that would work. They moved a little bit further out, not like right by New York, but a couple hours away. Not bad, but an hour and a half drive from where I was to them. Not bad. We can still see each other. It wasn't the end of the world. And a lot of people do that. A lot of New Yorkers make a pit stop, like they stop in Pennsylvania or they stop in New Jersey, and then realize not so good there either. My mom eventually decided to pack up and go to South Carolina. And that's where she died. The problem I had with this is I didn't want them to go. I didn't. I didn't want my mom to go. I didn't want my stepdad to go. I did not want them to leave. I had a family here. I was losing my kids were losing their grandma. But they couldn't afford to live here. And I couldn't afford to support them here. So they couldn't afford two people, both retired, getting money, had money from their business, couldn't afford to live in New York State. Me, consultant, big city consultant, New York City. I couldn't afford to keep them here. I don't think you can say New York State's affordable. From 1990s, when my mom could survive on Long Island, if you know Long Island, that is not a cheap place to live at all. So she could survive on her own, one salary, and not a heavy hitter, literally server work, right? Not going to some big firm making 6 figures a year. No, server work, survived. You can't do that now. That's literally impossible. Cannot be done. Now, don't get me wrong, it's tough everywhere, not just New York State. You're gonna struggle in many states, most states, but it's devastating here. She went from one person on a server salary surviving to two people unable to pay her bills and retire in any kind of comfort here in this state. During this time here in New York State, during the holiday season, think about how tough it is. That if you go back 30 years, a felon could survive on her own. And today, two people working full-time struggle. I remember about 10, 15 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I was speaking to realtors who were talking about rentals here in New York City. And for those who don't know, the rents are so high that people can really make a decent living just doing rentals, right? Just getting commissions on rentals. They can actually wind up making a decent living, making a decent salary in New York State if they're good and doing a lot of rentals. It can happen. It's not only selling a $10 million apartment, your rentals. Because the rent's so expensive, your cut is big. So you can do that. So I remember one of them saying, hey, I've got this place. And it's like, $2,000 a month. And in New York City, like, what? That's good. Okay, what's going on? He went, yeah. So the rent's $4,000. And I said, well, you said 2. He said, yeah. Well, I'm assuming you're gonna have a roommate. So they started advertising rents as half because the assumption was you would have a roommate. That seemed crazy to me then. That seems like the norm to me now. When I first heard it, I thought it's nuts. What? Isn't that like false advertising? They're like, no, you can't survive in New York City without with one salary. Of course, that's just your half. Oh, okay. Okay, at least now I get it. That's New York City. But the states know better. Doesn't matter which part of New York State you go to. I mean, New York City is obviously the worst, but they're all bad. You might say, well, Larry, is it only about the rent? Is it only about buying a house? Is it just that? It's not just that. It's the taxes on that home. It's the tax on that home. There are many places across this state, many, where you're easily paying 5 figures a year in taxes. Easily, many places. Not just New York City. I mean, New York City, of course. But outside the city, imagine if you have to pay, say, $12,000 a year in taxes. You're paying $1,000 a month, and you own the home. What? $1,000 a month, and you own it. I spoke about this years ago. The idea of zombie houses here in New York State on the New York State government website. People just packing up and leaving. Don't care if they have a lease. Don't care if they have a mortgage. I'm out. See you in court. Good luck. See if you can find me. I'll be in Florida. Just leave. Because they can't afford a house that they've even paid for, or they have a mortgage on. The cost of living so high. But they will tell you, well, New York is family friendly. Why? Well, we spend the most, they will say, on things like renters defense and we have rent control and we have renters protections, which is all true. New York City has tons of rent control all over the place. New York City has lots of renters protection. Yet people are still leaving. For those of you who don't know, just came out, New York Post, 2 weeks ago, week ago. Yet again, New York State has the most people leaving the state. Again, the most people. Yet we spend the most on our school system. We spend the most on our family court system. We spend the most on rent control and rent protection. We spend the most on all these things. We have rent control. Not just that. If you are a child of New York State, you can get on one of our plans. You can get health care as a kid. No kid in New York State is not covered regardless of how much money you make. No kid is not covered. Every kid in New York State, as long as you do paperwork, will be covered medically in New York State. But people still leave. So all the things that they keep saying are going to help, they keep doing. The people keep leaving. And if you ask our glorious leader, Her Majesty, Queen Kathy, first of her name, destroyer of the middle class, supporter of the elites, if you ask her, what will she say? You know what the most important thing is? I'm not joking. Online bullying. That's what's critical for the governor. Not that people keep leaving. Not that people can't afford to stay here. Not that all of her plans are failing. You know what I'm worried about? Online bullying. That'll bring them back. No. And it's worse. And I'll talk about it. Larry Sharpe, Sharpe Radio, WYSL, Rochester, New York. The number to call, 585-346-3000. Back with your calls and your chat. I see all your chat. I will get back to it after the break.
Introducing a sobering and unavoidable truth. The latest advancements in artificial intelligence have made cyber attacks easier than ever before. Cyber criminals are relentlessly targeting your business right now, seeking the tiniest opening in your defenses to drain your accounts and steal sensitive data. Your finances and your customers' trust are on the line. Call the experts at Simple Tech Innovations now at 585-999-TECH to secure your business today. Don't wait until it's too late. Make the call today. 585-999-TECH.
To live the quality of life we deserve in truth and freedom, informed by our Constitution, our laws, and traditions, we need to pick the best leaders possible. Recent experience certainly illustrates that. Free and accurate elections are essential if we're going to restore our society and safeguard our rights. New York Citizens Audit is a volunteer, nonpartisan group which has been lobbying for open source audits of the State Board of Elections and reform of the electoral process statewide. Did you know Citizens Audit has uncovered over 1 million felony violations of election law? That in 2020, there were 625,000 more voter registrations than existing voting age citizens in just 6 New York counties, that there were 338,000 more votes cast than voters who voted. These are just a few shocking examples of the urgent need for reform. You can help. Visit auditny.com and learn the facts, how to volunteer, and make a difference in your community. Again, volunteer, donate, or spread the word. Start at auditny.com. That's auditny.com.
Sharpe Radio on the WYSL stations.
Oh, yes. It is Larry Sharpe. Sharpe Radio, WYSL, Rochester, New York. Number is 585-346-3000. If you want to chat, let me grab a bunch from the chat if I could. This is Patty. She says, it's a big no from me. It's taking 4 adults and 3 kids living together and barely making ends meet. rent, electric, Wi-Fi, food, medical, clothes, gas, heat, water, sewage, garbage, laundry, and toilet paper. She's right. I wish she was wrong. And I know Patty doesn't live in New York City. She doesn't. There's a thing now in New York City. Again, they're trying to help. This is the city says that they're not really. So they're trying to make more rules on who can live in what place, right? So they literally go in and raid homes to make sure that what is considered a living room, what is considered a bedroom. I'm not joking. Because what's happening is people are saying it's a 3-bedroom. And what they mean is a bedroom, another room, which could be a bedroom, but making it a bedroom, and a living room, which someone is using as a bedroom. And so they get called 3 bedrooms so that people can do it, so they can survive. Now, I don't like the false advertising piece at all. I agree with that. If you're going to attack the person on false advertising, agreed, that's fraud. That should be a crime. But if they're saying, I want to rent out my space so I can survive, and somebody's okay turning my living room into a bedroom, what do I care? It's your place. What do I care? People are doing that because they can't survive. Now, instead of the government saying, wait a minute, this is a problem. We shouldn't have a state to where people, to Patty's point, need 4 adults just to survive. We shouldn't have that. Why don't we have a better environment? Why don't we make it to where people aren't being hammered so they can actually survive without this? No. We're going to make laws so that we can now start fining you and giving you fees so you can raise more money for the state. So we can spend more money in a school system that's broken. That doesn't work either. But here's the worst part. You might say, well, Larry, school system matters. That's where New York is family friendly, because they drop about $30,000 per kid over that in New York City. So clearly they care about families because look at all the money they're spending on the school system. But I would argue 2 things that would say that's incorrect. Number 1, family friendly would mean, in theory, I would think, that you care about parents and children and their relationships. That sounds family friendly to me. I want to make sure that parents understand what's happening with their kids are connected to their parents, that, or not even parents, maybe could be uncle, aunt, grandma, grandpa. No issues on that. Kin, whatever is the kin, right? You should think that. That's all family. Not New York. New York says, we own your kids. I'm not joking. You can't go get your kid when you want. You can't even homeschool without being either stigmatized, if not actually attacked. Yeah. Who doesn't care about your kid? New York isn't even teaching your kid. The degrees in New York State are literally useless. It does not matter what high school you graduate from, unless it's some specialized high school that gets you into a specialized college, with that exception. And the vast majority of New Yorkers don't get that. That's 1%. So the 99% of New Yorkers, it does not matter. And if you are in most of our cities, the graduation rate is embarrassment. It's an embarrassment, particularly Rochester, terrible graduation rates. And if you graduate, you don't know anything anyway. You can't read or write at grade level. So we spend all this money for what? Unhappy parents who don't like what their kids are learning, who are not involved. When you try to get involved, they stop you. If you actually get on your school board, you get stifled by the state. So you can't get what you want, and punished to homeschool, and no help when it comes to private school. In fact, attack private schools. Wait a minute. I thought New York was family friendly. That's what the governor will tell me. Yet living is hard, and school is a joke and expensive. So we're spending extra money for garbage. I'm going to say something which may sound controversial, but it's actually true. New York State's education system is so broken and so battered and so harmful, it will be better if it didn't exist. I'm not joking. You say, wait a minute, are you saying it'd be better if there were no schools? Yes, I'm saying New York State schools are such garbage and produce so much harm to family and children, it will be better if they just didn't exist. Now, that wouldn't be the greatest, because there would still be a lot of trouble. Where am I putting my kids? All kind of problems. If all of a sudden it went away, it would be all kind of problems. And those problems would be better for family and kids than what we have now. That's what I'm saying. I don't care if it's controversial. It's true. Because then parents and communities would figure out a way to step up to educate their kids, which would be better than the garbage system that we have now. And you rarely hear me say things like that. When it comes to being a libertarian, I'm one of the most practical ones, and my libertarians get mad at me about it all the time. You're not hardcore enough, Larry. Yeah, abolish everything. They get mad at me. And this one, I'm kind of with them. I don't know what we're doing. We keep throwing money. We keep crushing families, and it gets worse. You might go, well, Larry, I get it. School's bad, but it doesn't mean we should go that crazy. Well, what's the other answer? That's what I'm saying. D says, Larry Sharpe, the hardest working libertarian. I wouldn't go that far, but thank you. Adam says, Merry belated Christmas to you and yours. I must say again, if you celebrated Christmas, I hope it was a wonderful Christmas for you. And I hope that if you had some thoughts of people who passed, as I did with my mother, I hope that most of those memories were good. I hope that most of those memories provided warmth and joy, and very few provided any grief. I hope that's true. Some of you who've lost someone recently, that may not be true, but I hope that it gets better. Robert says, New York State is simply not habitable for humans, for that is true, but for children without government assistance or great wealth. Yes. Imagine working full-time and needing government assistance to stay in the state. I don't have to imagine that, Robert. I see it every day. I think you do too. There's no need to imagine that. That's happening right now. And let me go. You bring up kids. You know, Robin, I know you and I have talked about this before. You would think if the state would care about children and families, that when there were problems with families, that the system will go out of its way to assist the family, keep them together, try to assist, try to work things through. No, not at all. Once you involve the state in your family is finished. Let me say it again in case you were confused by what I just said. Once you involve New York State into your family, your family is finished. Just number of days, you are finished. The second you do that, it's over. What do I mean by that? When judges start deciding about your parenting, your family's done. You should never put New York State in between you and your family, ever, unless there is literal violence. Then I get it. If there's violence, I understand. If there's not violence, you are screwing yourself over. Because most of you people don't know this. New York State uses divorce as a profit center. Again, let me say it again. New York State uses divorce as a profit center. But they say to you, we care about families. Wait a minute. You make money off of divorce. You make money off of taking children from families. Again, not making this up. This is real. Your incentive is divorce and taking children. You're family friendly. How is that family friendly? The incentive for judges should be not how much money can the state get from dads and moms, mostly dads, paying support payments, which again, the state gets a cut of that. So the state makes money on your support payments. It should be for keeping children with kin. If you're afraid, maybe you got a crazy mom or a crazy dad. Does happen. Great. Give the kid to the sister or to the aunt or to the grandma. They won't. Because the kid might see the other parent who's supposedly evil. That's their parent. No parents are perfect. And a crappy parent's better than no parent. I don't care what you say. It's better. Tell me I'm wrong. 585-346-3000. Shortwave Radio, WYSL, Rochester, New York. Day after Christmas. Happy belated. I'll be talking with you with your calls and also more of your chat. I am watching it after the break.
for truth and freedom.
WYSL.
AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the news and NBC forecast on WYSL. For tonight, a few showers will continue to be possible, otherwise mostly cloudy with a low of 45. Then as we head into Wednesday, we're going to see showers transition over to widespread rain during the morning hours and then back over to showers in the afternoon. Still mild, a high of 50, but the rain could be heavy at times through the day on Wednesday and create some pooling and ponding on the roadways. Heading into Wednesday night, a few showers will continue to turn cooler with a low of 42. I'm First Alert Meteorologist Alex Fieldfeld on your WYSL stations.
Merry Christmas and happy 2024 from Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, 6484 Route 96 in Victor. Come save during the Wrap Up the Year sales event. Lease a 2023 Jeep Renegade Latitude 4x4 SUV convertible at just $259 a month for 39 months. $2,500 down, must be Conquest or returning lessee. A 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee El Laredo 4x4 SUV is only $359 a month for 39 months. $2,500 down, must be returning lessee. A 2024 Jeep Wrangler 4-door Willis 4XE convertible is just $309 a month for 36 months. $2,500 down, must be returning lessee. And a Chrysler Pacifica minivan is just $399 a month for 39 months. $2,500 down, must be returning lessee. All lease deals require first payment. DMV taxes and fees due at signing. 10,000 miles per year. Other conditions may apply. See dealer for details. We welcome Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram customers in Victor, Canandaigua, Macedon, Fairport, and Finger Lakes. It's Victor Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Route 96, just east of Victor.
Introducing a sobering and unavoidable truth. The latest advancements in artificial intelligence have made cyber attacks easier than ever before. Cyber criminals are relentlessly targeting your business right now, seeking the tiniest opening in your defenses to drain your accounts and steal sensitive data. Your finances and your customers' trust are on the line. Call the experts at Simple Tech Innovations now at 585-999-TECH to secure your business today. Don't wait until it's too late. Make the call today. 585-999-TECH.
You're going to want to grab one of these before they're gone. Imagine a battery-powered heated winter coat. Milwaukee makes them. Burt's Lumber has them. And these battery-powered toasty warm winter coats are rechargeable. Plug them in, charge them up, and you're ready to go on the coldest winter day. And Burt's has lots of other great gift ideas, from power tools to bird feeders, boots to gloves, even laundry and kitchen appliances. Burt's Lumber and Perry, open 7 days a week, including Sundays, 9 to 1.
Baskin Livestock's success in recycling food waste into animal feed comes from a focus on growth and a belief that there's value in what others are tempted to discard. Their bank feels the same. While other financial institutions cycle through business relationships, Tompkins Bank knows the best things are worth preserving and lead to long-term growth. Tompkins, your bank of choice. Find out more at tompkinsbank.com.
At AirQuip, it's all about your comfort. Comfort with our company, comfort with our team, and most importantly, comfort in your home. As a trained comfort specialist, we adhere to the highest standards of customer service, training, and industry expertise. With a trained system from AirQuip, you'll get the best products, honest prices, and service that's unparalleled. We are your home comfort specialists. Find out more at airquipheating.com.
AirQuip Heating and Air.
Do you believe the power that created the body can heal the body? Are headaches a result of not enough aspirin? We must wake up to the fact that our current healthcare system is not keeping us healthy. Dr. Odell, a local chiropractor, is ready to help you join the thousands of others he's helped find the cause so you can live the life you are called to. Go to odellfamilychiro.com or call 585-671-9210 for a $37 evaluation. It's time to take control of your health and life.
Looking for something to do New Year's Eve? Fanatics Pub presents our annual New Year's Eve Rockin' Party with Johnny Rawls and the Love Machine, with the Patty Parks Band opening at the Geneseo Quality Inn. Food will be included with the ticket price. For tickets and information, go to fanaticsPub.com. Special room rates of $79 are available at the Quality Inn, so come and spend the New Year's Eve with us at the Geneseo Quality Inn. Don't forget, tickets are available at fanaticsPub.com. Hope to see you on New Year's Eve.
Dependable Disposal offers weekly residential trash and recycle tote service. Dependable Disposal, local business, local people you know. Call Dependable Disposal 585-505-1500. Let's see what we can do for you.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Oh, yes. Larry Sharpe is here. Sharpe Way Radio, WYSL, Rochester, New York, 585-346-3000 is the number. Been talking a lot about families in New York State. Family court not being good. School system not being good. Rents, taxes not being good. My own mom literally just having to leave. So many of our families and friends packing up and leaving, and New York State being the number one state yet again for people leaving the state. They keep leaving. This, by the way, for those who don't know, New York State wasn't actually losing total population about 10 or 15 years ago, but it was the slowest growing state as far as 10 or 15 years ago. Now, I believe it's last 6 years or 7 years, we've been actively losing population. For those you don't know, we lost a congressman, a congressperson slot because so many people left our state. We almost lost two. That is how many people are leaving our state. It's really a problem. Let me grab a call if I could. Let me grab Keith from Rochester. Keith, how are you?
A fast note and then moving on. There are bad, evil people out there who breed and have children, and you're wrong. They should never be allowed to parent those kids. So whether or not a child, in closing on this, is better off with that parent, hopefully they will get some good adult positive role in their life, but not the bad people who actually brought them into the world, and so far as what just simply brought them. But there are people who, adults to call them that, and they aren't, who have children who should never be parents. Now,
well, let me touch that, Keith. Hold on. Let me touch that piece. I think that there, of course, are bad people, which is why I did mention violence. They exist. But if you look statistically, any way you shape it, if you look statistically, kids who are in the system end up far worse by magnitudes than kids who stay with kin. And I'll go one step further. Kids who stay in multi-parent home, meaning the two parents, or you have other people like grandma, grandpa, uncle, aunt in the home, fare, again, by magnitudes better than single mother homes. Single mother homes are the second to worse than the system. So if I can get a kid to be in their family, you're right, there are bad families and bad people, but I can't pass a law or pass policy because there's bad people. I have to pass it for the masses. And in the masses, in aggregate, it's crystal clear. Multi-parent homes are going to do better for kids overall.
I was born in Kentucky. We understand the term kinfolk, so you're right on that.
Yes.
Moving on to the crux of the matter that solves everything, including you not wanting to really touch it and maintain it, is a very touchy subject of race and Marxism. The supermajority in Albany is controlled by black legislators out of New York City who are flat out Marxist. They hate our way of life. They hate America. No manner of jawboning is going to bring them around because of their Marxism and because how they have been taught in the propaganda schools to hate anything American, even that which allows them, mainly African American, to prosper. They hate our way of life so much they are not going to relent on any of us. That key R word, they're not going to relent. So to bring this full circle, until all of you understand that there are now people in drastic positions of power, that supermajority, the Democrats, who hate our country, every good thing you're saying here in the last half hour will go for naught because they hate our country to that degree. they're not going to listen to reason and logic, and that's what good people like you must understand.
Well, let me touch that, Keith. I'm happy to touch all that stuff you just said. You know, I will touch any space. You know, I will. You've been here before. Absolutely. Yes, you are correct in that right now in New York State, it is mostly Black Marxists or Black leftists, however you want to title them. But you're right, who run New York State politics. That's true. But it isn't because of race. As Joe says, Marxists come in white also. They come in all flavors, shapes, and sizes. But you're right. In this case, they are Black. That's true. And they are in New York City. That's an accurate statement. I'm just saying it isn't because they're Black. It's because they're Marxists and because they're leftists. I think you're right. And the other thing you'll find out is most of the people who feel this way, who are Black, most of them are elite Black. I mean, they're people who've gone to high-level colleges. They're heavily educated. Most of them are. There's the MSNBC crowd, right, who says, I know about Black people because I went to, Harvard or whatever, right? So that's a common thing. But the average Black person, Hispanic person even too, doesn't actually know any better. They're just trying to survive every day. And they see a guy or gal who says they support them, who says nice things, and they go, fine, okay, yes. So, which is why you will always hear me make a difference between leadership versus the average voter. I don't think the average voter actually cares whether they're Marxist or capitalist or whatever. They just want to be able to live life well. What they're hearing is, and again, this is not true. I'm saying what they're hearing. They're hearing, oh my God, everything that's bad is because of capitalism, and the only way to survive is going to be with Marxist or socialism. So they believe it. It's what they're hearing. But you're right, they are incorrect. So I do want to cover that aspect. I don't think it's because of race. It's because of Marxism. That's true. In addition to your point, many people on the far left, not all, but many on the far left do believe that the state is a better parent than the actual parents. I think you're right. They do believe that. Obviously, that's incorrect. But again, they see a system failing. And this is where I fail. I will take responsibility for this, Keith. I fail on this. I'm unable to get my message out well enough so they can hear that my message is a better message than theirs. But here is how we stop them. You are right again. They will not relent. Why would they? They're winning, doing fine. Why would they? The only way they will relent is if the average voter says, no. And boy, is that hard. But that's what I'm working on. I hope that at least addresses what you were talking about, Keith. Does it?
We have Mike from Rochester now.
Oh, I lost Keith. I'm sorry. Okay. Keith, I hope I at least addressed it. I want you to think I wouldn't address it. I don't mind addressing race. I don't mind addressing any of these things. So I do address them. I hope that at least addressed it. Let me grab Mike if I could. Mike, how are you?
Hey, pretty good. I would like to wish everybody a happy Yule and a joyous Kwanzaa.
There we go. Thank you for everybody. Kwanzaa and Christmas. Enjoy.
And Yule's Nordic.
That's right. And Yule, thank you. And Yule, of course. Yes, please.
Well, hey, you had touched on the subject of child support again. I just wanted to bring up just a quick point. We could solve a lot of cases when the father signs the birth certificate at the birth. We do a DNA test.
Why would that solve so many problems?
Well, because this way, also too, DNA testing for child support when you get dragged into court, because statistically, 30% of the births are not the father's.
Well, no, I'm not against DNA testing at all, but my gut says that the men who would still marry or keep the child, whether theirs or not, are going to have the same problem, right? If there's a divorce. So I have a girlfriend, she has a baby, it's not mine. Do I decide if I want to stay with her or not? If I do stay with her and adopt the child anyway, if I do that and she allows it and they do, then it's still my kid. If I don't do it, right, either way, then I still have a kid in my life. And if I'm taking care of the kid in some way, the court's still going to screw me over. I don't know if you know this. I mean, you might, I don't know. But a judge will go, well, you're basically their parent, so you have to pay anyway. They make people pay anyway. Am I wrong here, Mike?
No, you're not. And that's the law we actually have to change. is that
Yes.
is because New York State says if you claim that child for 3 years or so,
yes,
and then find out it's not yours afterwards, you are on the hook for it for the next 15. Well, actually, to 21 in New York.
Correct. New York makes you pay for another adult. Literally unconstitutional, literally unethical, but New York State makes you pay after the person's an adult. Correct.
But that's the point I just wanted to make was DNA testing would solve a lot of this issue right off the bat. DNA testing and do away with the law about you getting stuck paying child support.
I agree completely. I'm with you 100%. Yes, but we need more. How about that? Yes and more. I'm doing a yes and with you, Mike. I hope that makes sense. Guys, are we right here? Have we gone too far? Is Marxism the issue? Is race the issue? Is it about DNA testing? I'm good with it all. 585-346-3000. Sharpe Radio. Larry Sharpe here on WYSL, Rochester, New York. Back with your calls. And I see your chat. I'll get back to you. I will. I promise. I'll cover the chat after the break.
Introducing a sobering and unavoidable truth. The latest advancements in artificial intelligence have made cyber attacks easier than ever before. Cyber criminals are relentlessly targeting your business right now, seeking the tiniest opening in your defenses to drain your accounts and steal sensitive data. Your finances and your customers' trust are on the line. Call the experts at Simple Tech Innovations now at 585-999-TECH to secure your business today. Don't wait until it's too late. Make the call today. 585-999-TECH.
Avon Gun and Hunting Supply, a locally owned and operated gun shop here for your hunting needs. With changes in New York State laws, they'll work with you to fulfill your needs. Open from 10 a.m. Tuesday through Saturday, Avon Gun, East Main Street, next to Tompkins Community Bank.
The Stars and Stripes flag store is open again. Shop at 783 South Avenue Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 1 to 5. All American-made flags, many different types, apparel, drinkware, ornaments, and more. Honor our heroes. Shop Stars and Stripes flag store open again just in time for Christmas.
In 1926, the Avon Fire Department put an Aaron's Fox pumper into service. It now sits fully restored in a museum near Toronto. Avon has an opportunity to bring the Fox home for its 100th birthday for a fraction of its appraised value. The Aaron's Fox Full Circle Preservation Society needs your help. Look us up on Facebook or call 615-6463. Let's bring home the Fox.
Sharpe Radio on the WYSL stations.
Yes, it is Larry Sharpe. Sharpe Radio, WYSL, Rochester, New York, 585-346-3000. So happy that you give me a small chunk of your afternoon. Boy, have we been talking about stuff here in New York State, but I think it goes across the whole country. Let me grab some more chat. I have so much of you guys giving me excellent feedback here. Let me grab some of these. John says, the government schools are overbloated with administrators. Yes, absolutely. Andrew says, if it was family friendly, hundreds of thousands of families probably wouldn't be leaving in droves. Andrew, yes, I think the data is in. And it isn't just like 1 year. It is year upon year upon year upon year upon year. When I cross this state, I will very often, in any group of people, whether it's a small group of, say, 3 or 4, to larger groups of 30, 40, or 50. And I'll say, who here either is considering leaving or knows someone who left? All hands go up. Everyone in the whole place, hands go up. They all know. We should be embarrassed about that. But we're not. We really should be. So, yes. Patty says, money issues kills family, friendship, and business relationships. Once that is over, you leave. Wow. Patty, well said, right? When you have money problems, it does affect friendships. It affects family. It affects business. It does. 100%. What happens when you can't make payroll? does your employees don't trust you as a business owner anymore? What happens when you're a manager and you got to make that comment and tell what happens when you're family and you can't buy presents for Christmas or the presents they expect you to buy or whatever? Yeah. Or what if you are embarrassed because you used to be able to buy all the cool presents and now you can't? Or what if you're mad because the other guy across the street, he gets the cool presents and I get none? All those things. Yes, family. What about when your son or daughter is upset because they want something and they can't get it? I agree. All those. And look, any of those things, to your point, Patty, one of those things is nothing. So what? You don't get the same gift as somebody else. Hey, so what? Grow up. Happens. But it isn't the one thing. It's that, plus the other thing, plus the friendship, plus the business. It's death by 1,000 cuts. That's the problem. You listed how many? 20 things in your other comment? Yes, it's not if one thing is tough in your life, so what? We all have problems in our life. One thing's tough. You have a bad Christmas. So what? You have one bad Christmas. Who cares? Get over it. But it's when all the things add up. And then that bad Christmas is just the cherry on top. It's the straw that broke the camel's back. You're like, that's it. No more. No more. Completely agree. Absolutely. So, yes. John was on to say, no employer has been impressed you have a New York State Regents diploma. Totally accurate. Thank you. Absolutely. Completely accurate. Thank you for that, John. I definitely appreciate that. Yes. We're going to couple more of these. Let's say Joe says, Larry thinks fraud should be illegal. Not a real libertarian. No. That fraud absolutely should be illegal. Absolutely. So let me keep going down here. I do appreciate all of these. All righty. Patty goes on to say, but Larry, you can't mean daddy government or mommy court aren't looking out for my family's best interest. Sarcasm. I'll go back to what I said with Keith. Keith has a valid point. Absolutely. And Keith often does, right? Keith can be very aggressive. He knows that. He can be very harsh. He knows that. I'm not talking out of turn here. He's aware of that, right? But he comes from an actual point of reality. There are bad parents. I agree. And should a court step in for that? Sure. Absolutely, if it's bad. But again, then give the child to kinfolk. Give the child to the uncle, the aunt, the grandma, the grandpa, whoever will take the kid. If an aunt steps in and goes, I'll take my niece, I'll take my nephew, the courts now go, oh, you know what? You might still let the mom or dad see the kids, so no, and off to the system. And that's unacceptable. Kids with kin is far better than kids in the system, right? Absolutely. So, yes. Space Jason says, the fact that Dems are okay with the exodus of middle-class New Yorkers while record numbers of poor migrants are arriving says everything you need to know about Holcomb Dems. They belong Gitmo. I don't want to bring up the Gitmo thing now. Thank you. I'm getting myself canceled, so I'm going to say nothing to that. Your first piece, I tease all the time. I say Queen Kathy, destroyer of the middle class, supporter of the elites. First of her name. You're right. She is destroying the middle class, and all the people around her are assisting, happily assisting. Michael Voss is watching. How are you, sir? Michael says, we should have lost 2 or 3. I think he means Congress people. But they changed the rules to include illegals to help New York, Illinois, and California. And that was last minute. You're right. They changed how they were counting people in the census. Some people don't know this. Michael's correct. They made a shift, I think it was a year before, or maybe it was that year, I forgot, but it was right before the census. I think within a year. I might be off on that, but it was recent. They made a change on how they count people and who they count. And that helped, you're right, New York, California, and Illinois, because they count those as bodies. But of course that should be illegal because that's representation without taxation, right? I don't know, is it? Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, so yes. Let me keep going if I could. All right. Hold on. I have one more I wanted to grab. Spacious says, Kwanzaa is fake. Why do you care? Why do you care? Is your holiday any better? No. Let people celebrate what they want to celebrate, Space. Yes, I don't care if it's fake. You can celebrate Space Jason's a cool guy day. I'm not mad. Celebrate whatever you want. If you want to celebrate Kwanzaa, celebrate Kwanzaa. Enjoy. You want to celebrate Yule? Celebrate Yule. It's whatever you like. So no, that's a bogus comment, Space. People should celebrate what they want to celebrate, how they want to celebrate, whatever they feel. So yes, just want to bring that forward if we could. User has been banned says the welfare state is designed to keep people trapped in said state. You have hit something so important here. Government is very good at a couple of things. One of those things when it comes to systems is keeping people trapped in that system. You are right. They're very good at that. And then making sure no other systems that may stop or hurt that system can exist. So they validate the monopoly of government. You're correct. And then they give you just enough to keep you stuck. So it's rare that people die because of government assistance. They usually keep you alive, but they keep you in a very tough spot, in a horrible spot where you're completely dependent. It's rare for people to just, oh, thank you for my whatever, 2 weeks of help. Now I'm off and doing well again. That happens. It does. That's, less than 1%. It's almost always, oh, now you're on forever. Now you're on forever. And Michael corrects me, the census change was in January of the year they counted. Thank you. I knew it was recent. Thank you for that. I do appreciate that. 100%. Yes. So Paula says, I fear soon the illegals will be leaving New York. To be fair, New York problems are coming to a state near you. You know, this is another issue. We have a migrant problem. And just having migrants showing up is a bad thing. Again, you know me. I'm not against migrants. I'm not. I'm against migrants without a plan.
Roger.
That is my issue. Migrants with no plan. And we have no plan. I think you're right, Paula. What's going to wind up happening is people are going to come in, fail in New York State, and then leave, go to some other state, and try to succeed there. And here's the worst part. If they fail, we've made it worse. If they succeed, we should have got it. So let me grab one more call. I'm going to grab, if I could, Roger. Roger, how are you, sir?
Hey, what's going on, Larry?
How are you?
Good. Yeah, so pretty much, let me break it down like this. One, if Democrats were Marxists, they would have passed the New York Public Banking Act by now. And the state.
So you're saying they're not even real Marxist?
No, they're not. It's all pretend. They would have passed the New York Health Act. They would have made it. They would have outlawed private equity from owning housing, which is driving up the rent rates. You know what I'm saying? It's like anybody on the right that looks at Democrats, it's automatically, oh, they're Marxists. Just like anybody on the left goes, oh, those guys over there on the right is fascists. You see the reason?
I like what you said. I'm sorry, I'm up against the end of this, but I like your point. Your point is that they're not even real Marxists, so you're not even getting the Marxist side of it. Wow, even worse. So thank you for the call. I'm up against the end of the show here. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for giving me a chunk of your afternoon. Belated Merry Christmas, soon Happy New Year, Yule, Kwanzaa. Take that space. Whatever the case may be, enjoy what you're doing. I hope to see you all very soon.